Welcome to the Merlin Crypto Market Update located on the X app. I'm Abs, the host and senior engagement officer at Merlin, and today's episode features a replay from our Merlin X Spaces. Every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m., you can catch us live on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. We dive into captivating discussions about cryptocurrency and blockchain technology with our engaged audience, special guests, and the founders of Merlin. Please note, these spaces can sometimes experience technical hiccups and end suddenly. It's all part of the experience. Thanks for tuning into the Crypto Market Update, proudly brought to you by Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto.
Testing. Mario, can you hear me?
Yes, Abs, you still there?
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so we should be rocking now.
Sorry, guys, we're having some technical difficulties tonight, but let's see if this a third time is a charm.
What's going on, guys? So we're just waiting on Johnny Crypto and a couple other Merlin team members. We'll get this thing started in less than 5 minutes. Mario, if you got any music, well, let's throw that on.
Yes, everyone, welcome to our first Merlin X Spaces of 2024. My name is Mario. I am the senior manager of Merlin's customer support. We'll go ahead and get started in just a moment. In the meantime, we'll just enjoy some music. We'll wait for some people to join us. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Merlin Spaces of 2024. Again, my name is Mario, the senior manager here at Merlin's customer support team. And we're just waiting for a couple more people to join, but I saw that we've got a couple more listeners in, so I just wanted to greet you all. Hope you're all having an amazing start to your year so far. And Abs, I don't know if you want to kick off some conversation while we wait for a couple more speakers to join us. Feel free to do your thing, man.
Awesome. Well, I got plenty of conversation up, guys, because we're talking Gary Gensler and the Bitcoin ETF stuff. If anybody doesn't know, earlier today, it was about 3:30 in the afternoon, the SEC tweeted out that they tweeted out that today they would be approving a spot Bitcoin ETF product in the USA. And I believe that way they phrased it was they were going to be making multiple approvals at once. So that's pretty interesting. A couple of minutes go by, we quickly get an update that Gary Gensler's SEC government account was hacked, and the and the announcement was incorrect. So within a matter of minutes, we figured out that the bullish news was not bullish news at all, and we're sitting here and we're waiting for the approval tomorrow. But Mario, I thought that'd be a good place to start. You can give your reaction, just a little bit of an update, and then I'll give my take.
Absolutely, Abs. Yesterday, we certainly got put a show. That today was a really good one of those days where it was best to just keep your eyes on Twitter as opposed to watching a comedy scene on TV. But I really want to emphasize the fact that their account was compromised, air quotes. The way I interpret it, and this is just my opinion and not of Merlin, this is just the opinion of me, Mario. I feel like this was something that they're going to announce, and whoever's managing the X account just posted it instead of scheduling it. At least that's how it feels for me. But them coming out and saying it was compromised, and then minutes later they've regained back access to the account. I mean, that's got to be the quickest hack takeover in the history of humanity. But what do you think, Abs?
Well, they wiped out all leverage longs and leverage shorts. So whether it was a coincidence or a hack or whatever it was, I think that two things happened. Number one, when they first hacked the account, they just tweeted out a ticker symbol for BTC. So I think they got into the account and they were going to see if they could tweet out originally. Then they found that tweet already created for Gary Gensler, probably in his drafts, and just tweeted out day early. So it's not like it means nothing. I think it's actually really meaningful that not only he tweeted it out, but the way that it was phrased, I think we're going to see multiples on the same day whenever that happens. Could be Thursday, could be next week. We don't know. Nobody really does. But when it happens, I think they're going to approve multiple companies at the same time. And today was a little bit of evidence for that, even though it was a hack and a fake tweet after all. So that's my take, Mario.
Oh, great point. I didn't know that they had made that initial tweet, so that makes way more sense. I just think that the way they constructed that announcement, it seemed very SEC-like. Even the image with Gary Gensler's little headshot and stuff. I thought it was very. But again, of course, hackers are going to do a good job if they're trying to portray to be the SEC. But like you said, a lot of longs and shorts got triggered, and there was a lot of money that was lost by a lot of investors. So I guess the real question is the SEC to sue the SEC in this case? What do you think?
No way. It's not even possible because Gary Gensler can't stand there and question himself in court. So I'm going to go with the hard no on that one, Mario.
I know that was a joke, but
yeah. But sorry, I thought you had a follow up there, Mario. On a more serious note, I think there's some other news we can cover while we wait for Johnny Crypto to get in here. And we got Cypress X joining us, so shout out to our man. He's going to be joining Good Morning Crypto tomorrow. Super excited for that episode. Johnny, we're going to try to add you as a speaker right now because I want to get your opinion on this news. But while we're getting Johnny connected, let's talk about what else happened today. Because there was a Bloomberg analyst who was on CNBC this morning talking about how when these Bitcoin products approved, he thinks very quickly after the next narrative up in line is a ETF and an Ethereum ETF. That's going to be humongous in and of itself too. So Mario, while we get Johnny connected, give me your thoughts on that and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I think that makes complete sense, Abs. The next crypto asset in line, in my opinion, that we know that Ethereum's got this record, this kind of pass, as everybody likes to call it. But XRP is technically the only asset with that legal clarity. So technically, XRP should have the confidence of these institutions to come first. But we know how Ethereum is. We know that institutions love Ethereum. They're all over Ethereum. And so it's not going to surprise me if we get an Ethereum ETF application first. Well, actually, we already do. But, Ethereum kind of gets that first ETF approval to then be followed by other crypto assets. Nonetheless, I think these are exciting times. And I see we already have Johnny K. So let's get the ball rolling.
Johnny K, how you feeling tonight, my friend, being here?
Another day, another hack. It just continues to get better and better. But I'm doing great, Abs. I hope everybody else is too. Good evening for all you guys joining us. Hopefully, you're having a good night, and it's about to get better. And I see, shout out to our friend Cypress. I see we got him in the house too, and Gonzo and Mario and all you guys. So yeah, can't wait to hop into it. So much to talk about tonight, Abs. Oh man, it's gonna be great. But it's not gonna be just me. So guys, come up, raise your hands. We want to hear from everybody. The floor is also yours, so feel free to step up and chat with us.
Johnny Crypto, we're adding Cypress X right now. I'm going to add him up here. But give me your take really quick on the ETF news from today. First of all, this was my hot take, right? And I think this is investigative journalism, as we like to say. The account was hacked, and when it was initially hacked, they tweeted out the ticker symbol for BTC. That's what they tweeted out, and then they quickly deleted that tweet. I think they were testing to see if they could actually tweet from the account. What happened just 1 minute later? They copy and pasted what I believe, ready? And this is speculation. Let me preface. I believe they found that tweet, that ETF approval tweet, in the drafts for Gary Gensler because the way it was phrased and the way that he actually phrased it in that announcement was that there would be multiple approvals at the same time. So that's pretty interesting in and of itself. While I get Cypress X up here, give me your take, Johnny, and then we'll move on.
Well, you got to remember, Abs, manipulation. So we're not going to know the truth until we know the truth, whether that was an article that was, written and ready to go, which is very possible. And somebody hacked in and got it and sent it out, or if somebody's just writing something very clever. So unfortunately, that's the thing. We won't know until we know. But until then, we could, the one thing we do know is look at how BTC reacted, right? We saw an initial pump, and then we got a big dump. And so the question is this going to be a, kind of what we saw with XRP, right? We saw an initial pump, and it didn't take too long for it to all come back. I think it was only a few days. I mean, this came back quicker, but it's possible that we're going to get the same thing. We're going to get a spike. Now, this spike wasn't long lived because the news came out that it was hacked, and maybe that's what dropped it. Who knows? But very interesting. I think we're going to get some similar behavior.
Cypress, I'm just going to kick it straight to you. First of all, I'm very excited for you to join the Good Morning Crypto show tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining us and making time for our group. How you feeling tonight, and what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? I'm very well. Thanks for asking, and I look forward to speaking with you all tomorrow. I just wanted to capitalize, real quick on the question that you just asked about the ETFs for Ethereum and XRP. I think that something that people need to take into consideration about the way that the market's structured now is that the infrastructure to handle financial institutions, i.e., volume and liquidity, is actually ready. In previous bull market cycles back in 2017, 2020, and 2021, institutions couldn't participate in this market because the foundational infrastructure, the custodials, the people that are actually going to house the digital assets for these large institutions wasn't set in place. That is all changed now, albeit regulation. And yes, the foundational infrastructure for regulation is not clear yet, but the actual institutional layer that can handle the amounts of volume and liquidity that institutions are going to provide is actually set in place. And so I think that that's definitely a positive thing. So when people are mentioning these Bitcoin ETFs, these Ethereum ETFs, and these XRP ETFs, and these other ETFs for other digital assets, they are definitely coming. I think that a lot of these financial institutions are being quiet about it. So if you hear rumors about it, it's most likely because somewhere down the line somebody drip fed some type of rumor. So it's definitely something to pay attention to. The infrastructure is way more mature than it was 4 years ago during the last bull market cycle. So I think that's something everybody should be paying attention to.
Really quickly, I just want to get a follow-up question. So I saw a pretty good video earlier today where there was a different influencer educator on Twitter talking about why are we celebrating an XRP ETF? We just went through a 3-year trial explaining how XRP is not a security. Now, we know that to be an exchange-traded product or an exchange-traded fund, you have to register as a security with the Securities and Exchange Commission, but that doesn't actually affect what XRP is in and of itself. So I know you're very smart, and I know you're super educated when it comes to this type of stuff. Maybe you can dispel the rumors about what it means if they were to launch an XRP ETF.
Well, I think not only people need to understand is that in order for these financial institutions to get involved, they can't just go out to a crypto exchange and just buy XRP. They actually have to go through some type of regulatory process, some type of onboarding process, and an ETF is direct access for these financial institutions to onboard the massive amounts of money that they have sitting on the sidelines, which we all know they do, to actually involve themselves in this space. So yeah, okay, I get it, right? People think that due to manipulation, these ETFs might be a bad thing. But I think that it's the driver that's actually going to bring mass adoption in the institutions as we head into the next couple of years, heading into 2025, 2026. So I don't think that they're a bad thing yet in the short term. Could we see some manipulation? Could we see some up and down price swings? Absolutely. But that's just the nature of cryptocurrency. If you're not ready to handle volatility in this market, then why are you even here in the first place?
Exactly. And volatility creates opportunity. Johnny, what were we talking about earlier today when it came to the Bitcoin ETF narrative? The thing that's different this time is, first of all, it's a spot ETF. We're not talking futures. Institutions are going to go out, purchase Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, whatever they decide, and hold it on their balance sheet. So that's a fundamental difference than a futures ETF. But second of all, is when this narrative is arising. In 2017, it came at the end of the bull run. In 2021, it was false narratives. Well, in 2024, it's happening at the end of the bear market, entering the bull run. So I think that's a big difference this time around too. But what are some of your thoughts? And we'll go to Gonzo.
Well, so first of all, Cypress touched on something that I think is so important is the rails, the infrastructure, none of that was in place to be able to even facilitate a Bitcoin type ETF. And frankly, they're still not fully in place because if you just remember about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, the SEC said, no, you can't do in-kind transactions. You can only do cash creates redemptions. And the reason why they did that is because the APs, they still don't have the ability to be able to transact in Bitcoin. And so we're still not fully there, but but all the other pieces are in place and they were able to get away using creates to be able to say, okay, we can make this happen. But that's just goes to show you how early we are in the whole entire, piece of it. And in terms of, what he was talking about, I agree with Cypher that this is going to, a lot of people like bashing, oh, this is bad. Elites got their hands around it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's always a trade-off with anything in life. And the reality is, the BTC ETF is going to bring two things. It's going to bring legitimization to this space which it has never, ever had since the day it started. Just listen to the JP Morgans in the world and all the guys, all the big boys. And all they talk about is how they're nerds and geeks playing in this space and that it's not real and it's a scam and it's used for nefarious activity. So all of a sudden now, they're the ones backing it. Okay, so now pretty soon they can't have that narrative. And we already saw the biggest WWE heel turn in history when Frank came out and said, "Hey, people are turning to a flight of quality, and that's gold, silver, and crypto." So there was your big heel turn when you realized, okay, it was game over, that these guys are ready to make the switch. So that's number one. You're going to get legitimization, and number two, that's going to bring a shit ton of liquidity, because now that it's a security in a sense, the ETF is security and it has regulation. Now everybody, all the institutions, can unlock that 1, 2, 3% that they've been saying they want to put in, and they can bring it into this space. And let me tell you something. They already got all their financial advisors sitting at their desk, and I'm sure they got all their clients on speed dial. Can't wait to push the button and say, "Hey, guess what? Let's move your 401k into this new thing called Bitcoin. You're going to make a shit ton of money, blah, 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 blah." And why are they going to do that, Abs? Well, if you're Grayscale, I'll tell you why, because you get 1.5% in fees. If you're the other companies, you're looking at 0.2, 0.3% of fees. There's going to be a shit ton of money to be made here. So they're going to go crazy. They're going to pump the hell out of it, and we're going to see money come into this space. And because of that, then lastly, the retailer who has no clue, what we call the dumb money, they're going to hear this stuff on CNN, Fox News, and everywhere else, and then they're going to come in and put their money in, and they're going to get wiped out.
Last thing, Johnny, before I kick it to Gonzo, is the fact that in that CNBC clip that I pinned up in our spaces right now, I encourage everybody to go and watch that. What he talked about is how right after a Bitcoin ETF approval, there's going to be no reason for them to deny many of these other products, like an Ethereum, like a quote unquote, he called it a Ripple. We know he meant XRP ETF. And this is what gets me excited. What Grayscale launched in their digital large cap fund, that is, it's still too Bitcoin heavy in my opinion. It's 70% Bitcoin, 20% Ethereum, 4% Solana, 2.5% XRP, and I believe 1.5% something along those lines. That's what I think really creates this market and drives it into this next phase where everybody owns a little bit of these altcoins without even knowing it. They don't have to go to Coinbase. They don't have to go through this education process of figuring out how to buy crypto and custody it. Instead, the institutions, quote unquote, take on all the risk. We'll do it for you, and we'll take that 1.5% on the back end because everybody wins in this case scenario. So I want to kick it back for some thoughts on that narrative I've just created.
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me? So the significance of how big it is in that ETF or the Grayscale fund isn't that, in my mind, that significant or not as significant as the fact that they added it back in. That should tell you right there that they see value in it. Okay, that's number one. Number two, that fund was primarily a BTC and ETF. Ethereum fund anyway, heavily balanced towards that way. But keep out for this. Look to see what comes next. Because what you're going to see is you're going to start to see a basket of these things coming out, like payment system ETFs, gaming ETFs, smart contract ETFs. You're going to see a whole bunch of these different ones. And in those, I bet you see in some of them, for example, if there's a payment type system, I think you'll see a higher degree of percentage of of XRP bought up in that. And again, these ETFs, one of the things they're going to do, as you said, these institutions now have to buy the underlying asset, and they're going to be sitting on them. So it is going to bring some stabilization. People aren't going to like that. Well, when I say people, let me rephrase. Us cryptomaniacs, us crypto, we're not going to like that, because what we're used to is these crazy bull runs and these crazy spikes up and down. Well, I'm not so sure you're going to be seeing that anymore on these type of assets that are being held, where a good chunk of them potentially could be held by these large institutions that aren't going to be, are they going to manipulate them? Yes. But are we going to see swings like we've seen in the past? 100Xs? I doubt it.
Gonzo, I'm going to kick it to you for some comments, and then we'll go to Cyprus.
Yeah, hey, what's up, Ab? Sorry, I'm sick, so I've lost my voice.
Holy crap, G!
Yeah.
You all right, brother?
Hold on, someone kidnapped Gonzo.
I got some chicken soup.
We got to launch an investigation here, Johnny. Where did Gonzo go, man?
I've got no
voice.
My gosh! But well, here's what I was gonna say about the spot ETF, right? I feel I heard this saying the other day, and I feel it's so true. People always overestimate the short term of what this means, and then they underestimate the long term. Right? Everyone's going to think like all this money's about to just pile in overnight. This thing's going to go to the moon. And yeah, I think we're going to get a push up, maybe 50, and then you get a reversal candle, and then it comes back down like it always, right? Because what comes after the ETF, right? The next trade that everyone's kind of looking at right now is Ethereum, because that they've already filed for the application. And if they approve a spot ETF in Bitcoin, then they can no longer deny an Ethereum ETF, right? Because it follows the same path. But right now, when you look at the Bitcoin being devastated, it's about to break support. If not, it already has broken support. I think it's the lowest we've seen it since April of 2022. So I think Ethereum still has a little bit more to go down before I think that narrative catches fire and then brings that eventually back up again. But I try to be non-emotional about it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think the most important thing is that regardless of whether it gets approved, doesn't get approved, or whether it's a sell news event, if we go to 50K, if we roll over, whatever it is, you got to have a plan, right? You gotta have a plan. You have to execute your plan, whether it goes to 50K, whether it goes to 55K, or whether it rolls over and goes back down to 40K or 32 or 35. What are you gonna do about it? When your altcoin gets completely crushed and devastated and it goes down 40%, what are you gonna do about it? Right? Like have a plan. And I think that's the most important thing.
You're spot on, Gonzo, and I want to reiterate this too. Even during bull runs, we get 30% pullbacks weekly. That is totally typical. Look at coin price chart in a weekly time frame. I believe in 2021 alone, we got 6 pullbacks away from, I believe it was 9,000, 8,000. It's hard because I'm really trying to remember old data here, guys. But the whole point that I'm trying to say is if we get these short-term pullbacks of 30, 40%, it's like Gonzo said, have a plan. This is why you need to have an exit strategy. Set price targets to exit and re-enter the market. Have an in-depth game plan. And that's why you got to check out Merlin. 30 days, absolutely free. And we've pinned the link to this space. So just click on that link, check it out, give us some feedback. 30 days, absolutely free. But Johnny, floor is yours.
Well, not only should you click the link and try Merlin for free, you get 30 days of the most powerful crypto tracker in the world and be able to set an exit strategy. Make sure you also follow everybody who's speaking tonight in the room: Gonzo, Cypress, Mario, yourself. Follow all the accounts, as we always try to share information with you guys, educational information to help people understand the space and what's going on. And it's good to get different opinions because let's face it, no matter how smart any of us are, and I'm not saying we aren't, we're not a Cypress smart one, but we all have differing opinions, and having those differing opinions is a good thing because it'll help you open your mind to thinking about things the way maybe you haven't thought about them. So I love debate. I love having different opinions to help you think about things that you may not have seen, looking at it a different way or a different person's perspective. And I think that's the value of these kind of conversations and spaces and the Good Morning Crypto Show and all that stuff. So absolutely, Freddie here. And feel free to contribute too, guys. We want you to come up, raise your hand, come and speak, because this is for everybody. We want to hear the differing opinions and ideas. So if you're on the fence thinking about coming up, get off the fence and come on up. We want to hear from you.
And Gonzo, we talked a lot about data earlier today, and I don't think we got your take Gary Gensler hack, but here's the latest update. Stuart Alderati, he said, per the SEC's rules, within 4 days, the SEC should disclose the incident's nature and scope and the impact on the market, along with the description of its process for assessing, identifying, and preventing such a cyber attack threat in the future. This is interesting, and there's a couple of similar cases when you talk about private companies, like maybe an Elon Musk case back in 2018 that comes to mind, where he was in trouble for tweeting things out and affecting the stock price. Well, it's undeniable that the tweet today affected the Bitcoin market. There's no debate about it, and we have the stats pinned up in our top of our profile as well. But I wanted to get your thoughts, Gonzo. First of all, what do you think happened with the hack? I've broken it down twice now. The hackers got in there. They tweeted out a Bitcoin symbol. A couple minutes later, they tweeted out the approval of the ETF, the supposed approval. Within that approval, it cited that multiple companies were going to be approved. And that's what I thought was such a big deal. But what did you take away from the hack and the entire narrative happening today? Gonzo.
Yeah, so I think because it's a government agency, there's going to be some type of investigation, see how it plays out. But to be honest with you, man, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised it actually doesn't happen more. I mean, you figure if Ben Armstrong, the ex BitBoys Twitter, was Twitter back when he got hacked, and you've had other accounts that have gotten taken over. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more with like government agency accounts because they're probably not being as secure as most people because it is the government. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the next coming days because it definitely was like nation seemed like it recovered pretty quickly. But we'll have to see. I hadn't heard the theory that you came up with that I like, where you have your tweets in the draft, and that might have been in there already. That's totally feasible, right? And they're just waiting kind of to release it. But we'll have to see how it plays out.
And I wish it was true. But Donnie, let's get some thoughts, and then we'll kick it to Cypress.
Who's policing the police, my friend? That's the problem, man. At the end of the day, there will be no investigation. There will be no 4-day turnaround, or there will be, but it ain't gonna matter. Nothing's gonna change. Now, you can't you can't sue yourself, like somebody said earlier. So from that perspective, they'll have some excuse and they'll, justify whatever the reason is for justifying it. And the reality is nobody's going to hold them accountable, and this thing will just pass on. But I do think there is some legitimacy to what you're saying of the emails already being prepped and it may be being a real email ready to go, and somebody just got in there earlier and and sent it out to disrupt the markets. But to me,
you know what makes me believe that, and that's why I keep reiterating the first part, which is they tweeted out the Bitcoin symbol to begin with, because I genuinely think they got in there and said, "Can we actually tweet right now?" And they're like, "All right, what should we tweet? Let's try something so simple: Bitcoin, BTC, just a symbol." Tweeted that. They figured out it could be tweeted. They deleted it, and then they tweeted out the follow up. So it's pretty interesting.
the part that's interesting to me, and I'm curious if we got any software developers in here. The fact that it got hacked and then he got it back already. I mean, typically, like, look at everybody else who gets hacked. They get hacked, and it's like weeks before they can get their account back. Now, how did Gary? I mean, did Gary get? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he doesn't have his account back. But I did see a tweet somebody saying, "Oh yeah, he got it back already." So if he did, then the question is, how the hell did he get it back that quick? And it definitely totally leads.
Here's the real question: does Robert Gensler have the password to Gary Gensler's Twitter account? Because that's his identical twin, and some call him a twin, but that's up for debate, Johnny. I'm just saying.
Yeah. That's the real question. As how the hell is Gensler going to protect investors when he can't even protect his own X account? We got problems. So that problem.
The irony of it all is that on October 17th of this year, the SEC tweeted out, "The best place to get information about the SEC is from the SEC, period." And I screenshotted that and tweeted out today. I go, this didn't age well. But Cypress, I want to get some of your thoughts. We've been talking for a while. What's on your mind when it comes to the Bitcoin ETF, as well as Gary Gensler's account being hacked?
Yeah, I apologize, gentlemen. I'm trying to get the girls ready for bed. The hack is honestly at this point it's embarrassing to even say that we're Americans at this point. I mean, the whole entire narrative around cryptocurrency in America is just absolutely hysterical at this point. It literally feels like we're in a sitcom or a comedy show. Every single day, it's something new, and it's just absolutely mind-blowing what happened today. I mean, the number one organization that's touting that cryptocurrency is a scam and filled with fraud literally manipulated the market today in some way, shape, or form, regardless if they were hacked or not. So yeah, that's just very, very interesting. One thing that I do want to capitalize on, because I am kind of pinched for time right now, but I will be talking to you guys tomorrow. Two things. The people that are naysayers about these ETFs for multiple digital assets need to understand that retail traders are not going to bring the amount of liquidity for this market that's going to scale it to the trillions of dollars. So we need these institutions to back these digital assets, no matter what way, shape, or form they buy them in, whether it's ETF or through exchange, whatever the case may be. Obviously, of course, they can't just buy them through an exchange. They have to go through these ETFs and things of that nature, actually onboard themselves. We need this, right? We need this in order to see trillions of dollars flood into this market. Okay. So don't be opposed to it. Yeah, there could be some manipulation in the beginning, but that's pretty much all nascent asset classes in the early stages, right? And we are still in the early stages. This market's not even 6,000 days old, right? The second thing is we have the opportunity as retail investors to front run the banks. The banks are not fully here yet. So as a manual retail investor, everybody should be taking initiative to understand that this market's only 1.345 trillion dollars right now, 1.5 trillion dollars at its height, right? To 2023, I believe. So we have the opportunity to get ahead of the banks, and for the first time ever, that's an amazing opportunity to take advantage of because trillions of dollars have not come into this market yet. Prices are still phenomenally low and discounted compared to their all-time highs. And anybody that's complaining about massive amounts of money flooding into the space, even if there is a pullback, like you said, Johnny, like there's going to be pullbacks. There's going to be higher lows that are created, but that's healthy for a bull market cycle. That's healthy in order to see, higher highs and higher lows get created. So there's a positive side to this thing, and I think that because we're all segmented on YouTube and Twitter and things of that nature, people tend to focus a lot more so on the negative than they do on the positive. And I believe that there long term is going to be a lot of positive implications surrounding these institutions onboarding into this space.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Cypress. At the end of the day, retailers can't drive the prices up the way institutions can, and institutions can't get in it until it's regulated. So you have this weird conundrum, and that's the benefit of this whole thing. Like everybody's bashing it. Oh, the government's going to get control of this thing, or BlackRock's going to control it. They're going to smash it. And this and that. The reality is, look, if they didn't, the minute the SEC comes out and says it's blessed, it gives it the blessing seal of approval. It's now game over. Now institutions have a mechanism to be able to invest in this thing, and then you'll see other derivatives being formed off this thing. You'll have options trading coming off this thing. It'll eventually just get adopted in and be another like nothing burger over time. Once we
I
get
I have a firm belief that we are going to enter into a phase in this market where it's going to be a period of just institutions, family offices, hedge funds, asset managers onboarding themselves. Once we get regulatory clarity, hopefully that's when it happens and not before, because then it'll be all shaky. But
yeah
we are going to enter into a point in this market, in this digital asset space, where when we look back, the market's literally just going to look like a hockey stick. I mean, if you go look at
yep
any stock market or any stock, like just look at Amazon, go look at Google stock, go look at Microsoft stock back from 2008 until now, it literally just looks like an upward trajectory. So
Yeah, no, you're spot on. We, you hit a sour point with me. If you watch our show, you'll know when I hear the word Amazon, I cringe. I'll tell you the story tomorrow. I mean, I'll tell everybody now. But yes, in 94, 95, when I bought it, and of course I didn't have an exit plan. Oh, I had an exit plan, but it was the wrong exit plan. It was 100% exit plan, and for that reason, you know, rather than sitting on multi-millions, is nowhere near that because I sold it all, right? But when you look at how those behave, that technology as it matured, it went from a speculative phase from 1995, 90. So you can look at the price curve, especially Amazon. It's the perfect one to model because that's what I believe these are going to do. Pumped all the way up to 125, about maybe 2000, 2001, and then it crashed after the dot-com bubble. And then it went sideways as we went through the utility, as the building of the utility phase. And then, of course, you get the S curve and the hockey stick that you're talking about, which was tremendous and drove the damn thing, some bitch up from $1 all the way to $3,300 20 years later. It takes a long time for that to happen, but it does happen. And I think we're in the same situation with this technology. This asset class is going to be similar to what that .com asset class was. And that's why I'm excited about it, because I think there's going to be huge opportunities. And I think you're right. There's going to be I hope you guys like hockey, because there's going to be a shit ton of hockey sticks coming up
yeah,
over the next 10 years.
I think one thing that we can all confirm is that, looking back after institutions come into this space, this is the last thing I got to say before I hop off, guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow. But I think that when we look back, we're going to be saying to individuals, did you get in before institutions or after the institutions? And I think that that's, once the institutions come in, even if we do see market cycles in the future, bear markets, blah, 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 once these institutions onboard themselves, they're not going to be selling these assets right away. They're going to want to hold them for quite some time. These institutions aren't stupid. They know the future potential of this space. What have they been doing for the past couple of years? They've been hiring developers. They've been hiring coders. They've been hiring people to come and work on their back-end infrastructure because they know the future potential of this blockchain and digital asset space. They're not stupid. So when they do onboard, it's not like right away in the next couple of months they're just going to sell. We're going to see such exponential growth. These institutions come in. It's going to be quite a while before we see a bear market cycle once these institutions fully do onboard themselves. In
Yeah.
my personal opinion.
No, again, you can almost go back and look at 94 to 97, 94 to 2001. I feel like it's that same era all over again when Abs was in diapers, and some of us were alive and getting to live through that. And the reality is, yes, that's what's coming. There's going to be a good 4, 5, 6 year, I think, could agree with you more, major bull run that's coming in, because these institutions who are now starting that in. So if for the few of us, the 5% of the people that are in crypto right now and front run it, great. Pat yourself on the back. Don't hurt yourself as you bend your arm back. But you're going to pat yourself because you're going to make it. It'll be good times for you. For the rest who come in afterwards, well, they're going to be the exit liquidity unfortunately, for the major, major bull run. But I think we're going to get 4, 5, 6 years, Cypress, of big, big booming years. And then will be the crash. The crash will come. And because what's going to happen is this space is going to get saturated with too many players, too many things, too many technologies trying to chase the same solutions. And so some of them are going to get consolidated, some are going to go away, some are going to be frauded, some are going to get wiped out, and that's when you start to really shift into a full blown utility stage.
Yeah, I think something else that a lot of people aren't really focused on is towards the end of this year, we have a lot of regulations coming into play. And I think that, obviously, of course, you can just go look at coinmarketcap.com and see all the, illicit market participants that are still operating in the space. What is going to happen when these regulations really do come into play? Have we even seen the major shakeout yet come into play? We've always talked about, and a lot of people have talked about and speculated a lot of digital assets going away, 99% of them going away, and only the utility surviving. Well, what does that future look like? Does that mean we're going to see a mass liquidation event? Does that mean that Does that mean all the meme coin money is going to come over to utility tokens? Like, what does that future look like? That's something that we should all be mentally preparing for, because that's going to be an also volatile moment in crypto. Not only these institutions or these Bitcoin ETFs, but regulations. Regulations is going to be huge when they actually do come into fruition.
That'll probably be the linchpin to blow everything up, because once it does, and think about it, if you have to comply to the SEC for every project that's out there, well, that's going to filter out a lot of the scammers. It changes the game, no question about it. And it can also, I don't want to say stifle innovation, but the real players in innovation will do the due diligence, go process, file, and do whatever they have to do to meet regulatory approvals. And then the ones that can't or can't afford it, yeah, those will probably get scrunched away. And that's all going to happen, I think, in this next 3, 4, 5 year period of a crazy ass bull run. It's going to be a little bit of a wild, wild west, just like it was in the stock market back then, until you get the bubble and the crash, and then it'll kind of stabilize, I think.
Yeah, I think this market will be fully regulated before 2026, period. I think that before the 2030 agenda fully plays out and CBDCs fully are inflicted on the general population, I think that the crypto space has to be fully regulated. So 2026, in my personal opinion, is the last year that we saw this regulatory he say, she say, and we see some type of, whatever it may be, whether it be some type of, mass liquidation event or some type of restructuring of this digital asset space. But I think that comes before 2026, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. We know we're on the verge. We know Congress is close. We know there's a bunch of bills being floated around. And we know there's right now a couple of different factions within Congress, both pro and anti-crypto, and all that's got to play out and play through it. But I agree with you that we are going to get that regulation, and then that'll be the linchpin to, I think, start wiping out a lot of these companies that shouldn't be here. And that's actually a good thing, because all that shit meme coin money, I mean, some of that's still going to be around. Don't get me wrong. You still get penny stocks and pump and dumps even today in the stock market. Not anywhere like we got in 2000s, but that's still good. But it'll help clean the space up, and money will find more legitimate projects. So
one more thing I think we should talk about is the fact that when this market evolves, volatility is going to slowly depreciate over these next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Like you're talking about this parabolic run. I think during that parabolic run, quote unquote, the volatility in something like a Bitcoin is undeniably to diminish. Like, I don't think we can just continue these 4-year cycles into eternity. And as big money comes in and there's more big players holding their assets for a long time, there's going to be less volatility because there'll be less open trading. So I think it's just pretty interesting. And I think it's another detail that we let slip our minds. Every bull market is smaller than the preceding bull run. So for Bitcoin, I believe it was 105x from halving to halving in the first cycle. Then it was a 35x, and then it was a 7.5x. That means heading in cycle, we could only do a 2.5, 3x all-time high, and that would be totally standard. That would take us to about, what, $200,000 Bitcoin? I would even say that's likely, Johnny Crypto. So I think we're just doing what we've always done. Bitcoin's going to slowly increase in value. It's going to lose its volatility. But as for these altcoins, they're in a different category. The volatility and how low these assets are in value right now, just to give an example, Bitcoin is, let's, for the sake of time, it's $1 trillion asset. It's worth $1 trillion right now. And some of these altcoins, like besides Ethereum, everything's under 50 billion. So the opportunity is there and the numbers speak for themselves. But what do you think, Johnny?
yeah, I mean, the reality is, this is going to sound a little crazy, but the train has left the building for Bitcoin in a sense where when you look at it strictly from an X percentage gain, yeah, you're not going to get 100x no more in Bitcoin. It's not going to happen. Some people are saying it's going to a billion or 100 million or even a million. But maybe listen, if you told me Amazon was going to go to 3,300 back in 1997 when it was $17, I wouldn't have believed you either. So it's hard to say what's going to happen, right? But the reality is the probabilities. I'm an engineer. I play probabilities. Probability of it having those high X returns that it had in its early glory days, it's going to be hard to fathom because of its high price today. I mean, yeah, maybe you get a 5 or 10x, and that puts it at $500,000 in a major market cap. So it's possible, but the reality is that's if you're looking for large gains, then that's not necessarily the place to play, and that's why. Frankly, for me, Abs, this. I'm going to sound like a broken record. Now you know why I love the gaming space. Because the gaming space, while there are a few that have a decent, maybe a couple coins that have about a $2 billion market cap, the market caps are small on a lot of them. And that space has not been played yet. That whole play to earn space is coming, and it's going to be huge. Tremendous. I talked to a lot of Merlin customers because I still feel some customer support now while I still can for a little bit. And you know what they all tell me? Their kids are all gamers. And you know what else they tell me? They can't believe the fact that someday the kids to be able to sit home and play games and make money, and it's already happening. And when the real world realizes that possibility, wait till you see the narratives that come out and the liquidity that floods into play to earn gaming space. For me, I think that's where there's one of the largest potentials. When you're talking returns, when the big boys come in, things like Bitcoin and XRP, those are all going to stabilize and get flat. But these other smaller plays, I think there's still tons of upside potential. But I'm curious to hear what everybody else thinks.
Gonzo, let's kick it to you. I just want to throw this in here. I disagree with Johnny when he threw Bitcoin and XRP in the same category at the end there. My whole statement originally was these altcoins have so much more opportunity. Bitcoin, not an altcoin. XRP, definitely an altcoin. Floor is yours, Gonzo.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make a comment on the altcoins because that's kind of my thing. But if you look at the total market cap, excluding like Bitcoin and Ethereum, I want to say that from where we were at the bottom to where we hit kind of return high is about 310 billion. The total market cap in the last bull run was about 1.1 trillion. We still have so much more room to grow. And that is taking consideration that the last bull run total market cap it was 3 trillion. People have been estimating, like Mark Yusko, 5 trillion. I heard 7 to 10 trillion. So depending on how big we get in total market cap, imagine how much money is going to flow into these altcoins. So definitely we are still early. And the good thing about being early is that the market is less forgiving. So if you make a mistake, it's less forgiving. So if you go out and you buy Link, not financial advice, but if you go out and buy Link at 13 something or dollars, and then Bitcoin decides to peel back and Link goes back to 10, all you have to do is hold on, because you believe in Link and what they're building with TCIP, it's going to at least go to all-time highs at $50. If we get into a 5 trillion market cap thing, now we're talking about maybe a $100 token. And so it's less forgiving when you get these entries. You just have to be patient and kind of dollar cost average, as opposed to people that come in late and start FOMOing in and they're buying Link at $50, $60, and maybe that is the top. And then they get caught on the wrong side of the trade. So we're still early, and yeah.
I just want to give a quick example to Johnny or Cypress, whoever wants to jump in here, is that during the last bull run, I remember when Cardano went from 3 cents to $3, and it wasn't until Cardano was $3 that my friends were asking me, where should I buy this and how can I purchase it on Coinbase? That's the mindset of the majority of crypto investors, guys. So the majority of people are not the ones who are in it during the bear market and getting their information from smaller YouTube channels every day. The majority of people are watching the news and they hear about that Bitcoin thing once in a while. They hear about that Sam Bankman-Fried kid, that JP Morgan guy. You know what I'm saying, Johnny Crypto? But I lost my train of thought a little bit there.
That's okay. I always knew you were a Cardano bull in secret.
Here's my point, is that Gonzo makes a great point about Chainlink, right? He said, don't worry, Chainlink's going to go to $50. I think like projects like Chainlink, no one really knows the potential this cycle. We could see a $250 Chainlink, and if that was the case, that means that retail is going to come around about $200. So that's the point that I'm trying to make here, guys. The second that retail arrives at the door, the second the person who's never talked about crypto or always been critical starts asking you how to purchase it or what's that Bitcoin thing, that's your top. That's
Get the hell out of Dodge.
You got about 6 weeks to 8 months before the top. And if you're early and good for you. But Johnny Crypto, what's your thought?
Yeah, that's actually, I think Warren Buffett, I don't know if it was Warren Buffett or which stock investor said it, that when you go to the grocery store, if the cashier was talking about something they were invested in, that's when you get out. So when you hear the local cashiers and hairdressers talking about buying Bitcoin, too late. Get the frick out of Dodge, because it's over. It's over. At that point, there's nobody left to come in because all the retail has been saturated. And remember, this is a very simple game. It's money in versus money out. And once all the money is in, if there ain't no more money to come chase money, well, there's only one way it's going to go. And if you understand that simple basic thing, then you know, like, oh shit, I need to have an exit plan for the following reason. I don't know where the top is. You don't know where the top is. Gonzo don't know where the top is. Cypress don't know where the top is. But you know what? There's a nice little tool out there called the Fibonacci tool that works very, very well. And you can use it. Go learn it. Go watch some of the YouTube videos out there. Watch one. DC Backer has a great one. Learn how to use that tool. It'll predict some targets for you. Put those targets on and forget it. Go to sleep. Don't worry. You don't have to watch your phone 30 times a day anymore. Basically, at that point, now you've got your targets. You've got the app, which is going to tell you when those targets are hit. So you just go and sell when it's time to sell, and you put that money in your pocket, and that's it. And you've taken the mental emotional out of this market, because you're going to lose. If you try to play this game and you're not prepared and you go into it, thinking you know it, and you don't have tools like this to help you, guess what? Your emotions are going to get you. Because, Abs, you said it. When we're at 100,000, when we're at 6,000 Bitcoin, You know what all the media heads are saying on TV? Tell them, Abs, where they said we were going.
You better buy that sucker.
They were saying it was going to 120. They were saying it was going to 100 to 120. And why did they say that? Because they knew the game was over. But how do you get suckers to come in and buy the top? How do you get a sucker to come in and buy the top? You got to convince them that the top ain't the top. Who the hell in their right mind is going to buy the top? Nobody. But if you convince everybody that this isn't the top, when you know it kind of is, because you have inside information and you can see all the leverage and see that everybody's leveraged out to the gills, you know we're near the top. Then what do? You get on the phone, call up your media station. Hey, tell everybody, get on the phone. You get Jim Cramer, right? Their favorite puppet, Jim Cramer. Cramer's going to tell you it's going to 120, 130, and then they're all going to be, oh, yeah, this is great. And they're going to buy the shit out of it at 60, and they're going to get dumb. Same thing's going to happen. So if you had an exit strategy, Abs, that don't happen because you would have done your fibs, and it would have showed you, get some out at 40. Take a little more at 50. Take a little more at 60. Take some out at 70, 80, and 90. Okay, you wouldn't hit 70 and 90, but guess what? You hit 40, 50, and 60, and now you're sitting on profits. And when the thing tanked and crashed to 15K, you could have taken those profits and redumped them back in and doubled your coins or invested them elsewhere, right? That is how you play the games, my friend. And that's why we invented Merlin. 30 days, free 30-day trial. Click on the link somewhere in this. I don't know, Abs, if it's above or below, where the hell the link is. But you guys got to try it out because that is how you start to protect yourself. Put yourself in a position to win in this crazy emotional game that's rigged against you.
Cypress, I saw you unmuted yourself. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, real quick for hop off here. So much to talk about. Real quick, just to capitalize on what Johnny was saying, Fibonacci or not, or understanding of technical analysis or not, everybody should have investment goals, right? Everybody's investment goals differ. Regardless if you're here for a $5 XRP or you're doing your Moonboy thing and you're looking for a $1,000 IP. You need to have mental and emotional stability along the way. It's not just going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Could it happen in a month? Sure. Could it happen in a couple of years? Sure, maybe. Have that mental and emotional control, and then of course assess your risk properly. If you're not assessing your risk and you're over leveraged, you're probably not going to make it because you're going to have emotions attached to your investment. 90% of individuals that have emotions attached to their investments make rational and emotional-based decisions. And if you're making emotional and irrational-based decisions, you're probably going to accidentally liquidate your portfolio because of some fear-based, choice. What else were you guys talking about? You guys were talking about the altcoin narrative and the potential for alts. I think something that everybody should take into consideration is that we are in the process of heading from a Web 2.0 world to a Web 3.0 world, and these digital assets that provide real-world value and utility are going to be the lifeblood of the Web 3 economy. So, if you are investing in this space, invest in utility, do your research. Obviously, of course, you have influencers and individuals out there on the YouTube space. Granted, a lot of them do put out false narratives and projections for clickbait, but you can kind of wade through that by doing your own personal research. Do your own personal research, read some documents, watch some panel discussions. It's not hard to find out, what these utility-driven assets are. Hopefully, you assess your risk properly, not financial advice. Invest in those ones for the long term, and they're most likely going to have some form of value. When that value kicks in, when that utility kicks in, we're going to probably, I agree with what you were saying, is that we're going to exit these speculative hype cycles and we're going to enter in an era of utility. And these assets that provide real world value are going to skyrocket. And that's where the opportunity is going to be. So that'll be the last thing that I say for you guys. And I'll catch you all tomorrow in the video breakdown.
Absolutely, brother. I couldn't agree with you more, Cypress. There are fun times ahead. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time, my friend.
Thank you so much, Cypress. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And to close it out, you don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to Cypress. You can listen to the president of Ripple, and her Ripple predictions thread said exactly what Cypress just doubled down on there. This is the year we move from speculation into real world utility. And I think that's what we should move the conversation into, Johnny, is tokenization is going to come into effect, cross-border payments, and all of this will come to regulation. That's what I really, really believe. So I want to remind everybody, check out the Merlin application. This Twitter Spaces is sponsored by Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. And if you click on the link right up above my head, you will get 30 days absolutely free. So check it out. Click on the link, 30 days absolutely free, and you can cancel your payment. It's not one of those things where it's 30 days and we charge you 2 months. No, your card is not charged. You can simply remove your thing with one click. So you can remove your payment and remove your credit card one click. Very, very simple. Johnny Crypto, I want to give you the floor, and then I got some other topics prepared.
Yeah, we made it easy. Easy one-click cancellation button in the app. Most places don't have that. Places make you on the phone and waste hours trying to cancel something. No. We don't do that. We don't play games. If you don't like the app, you cancel right in there. And if you do it within the 30 days, you won't even get charged. So that's one thing we've done. The second thing we've done is we don't cost you your keys, your coins, nothing. We don't have none of that stuff. We just are a read-only app. We bring all your stuff together so you can see everything in one place. And because it's in one place, you can then track it, see what your average prices are, see what your actual gains and losses are, and then create extra strategies to be able to send alerts. And lastly, it's not an app. but we made it a responsive app, so it works on the phone app. And when it's on your phone, you just open up your web browser, go there, log in, and then you save it to your home screen, and boom, it's like an app. It has an icon on your phone, and you can launch it from your phone just like an app apps.
Last thing, guys, is it does give you your tax estimates as well. That's another detail. So you can tell all the stuff that this provides you. You can check it all out totally free. First 30 days, click on the link up above. But let's continue with our conversation.
Hey, hold on. Before you go on, let me just clarify one thing on the tax estimate, because now you're going to get me in trouble. It doesn't do your taxes. So I don't want anybody to think like, oh, I'm going to get more else to do my taxes. No. What it gives you is if you set up an exit strategy, it's going to show you what your gain and losses are on all those targets that are hit, and it's going to show you what taxes you would owe on that trade. So if you made those trades, you'll be able to see your tax estimate on what you're going to have to set aside and give to Uncle Sam.
Or Uncle Johnny, depending on the day, guys. But I want to kick it to Gonzo. Gonzo, there's a lot that we can talk about, and I got some cool stuff prepared to close out this show, but I think we got to address it just one last time. The news from today was not true. News from the SEC about a spot Bitcoin ETF approval, but the big takeaway the big thing that I took away from that event was the tweet was prepared, and the person who hacked into the account tweeted out a draft that was already prepared for Gary Gensler. Now, don't come for me, guys. This is a theory. This is some investigative journalism here, but we explained it earlier in the spaces. You can go back and listen. Gonzo, I want to get your opinion. Just doubling down on this. Do you think it's likely that we're going to see multiple ETFs approved? And then today, another indicator of that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. A couple months ago, like 2 months ago, when we were on DNC, and I started discussing the idea of it either being denied or there being some kind of delay, like them talking to ARC and having them pull their application, and then having them refile so they can all get approved in March. I was leaning into that, right? And then as the time went on, crypto Twitter and like everybody over the last few weeks, I think it started with Kathy Wood making a comment during the Bankless interview saying that, there could be some selling going on, almost like a sell the news event. And everybody caught on to that. So now I feel like it's turned the other way, and everybody is expecting a sell the news event. So that makes me, I always like to be counter of the market. So that tells me that it's probably not going to be a sell the news event, and that this thing's going to pump. Like I said, I know that looking at analytics, there's a huge sell block at 50K, like 920 Bitcoin in like phases. But you know how the whales do it, they like to manipulate too. So they could easily put that sell wall up there, and then right before it hits, they go ahead and pull them, and then the price goes through. So we'll have to see it. But at this point, I probably, because everyone thinks it's going to be sell the news, I think it'll probably get approved.
Oops, sorry, moved it on there, guys. We got a little bit of tech issues. Johnny, I'm going to kick it to you for some comments as well. But do you hear what Gonzo said? There's a huge sell wall at $50,000 for Bitcoin, and that's something that's no surprise because it was a big psychological level for the markets. But that $69,000 mark, that all-time high, really has no trading volume. So this is important to remember, guys. It's not like at the top of the market is where all the trading volume happened. If you go back and look, there's most of the trading volume was at $55,000 to $63,000 for Bitcoin. The data speaks for itself. But Johnny, you give me your thoughts, and then we'll continue.
Yeah, I've always kind of felt we were going to go up to 50, hit 50. It's a very, very psychological level. And then I thought we would bounce off that and come down, and retest, 20, 30, 40%, coming back to retest that 35, 36,000 level that everybody, is talking about in terms of needing to retest that to get the double tap, as BC Backer likes to say. So, when you look at it from that perspective, that's kind of what I've always felt we would be going down in March until we get into the halving. And that's when I think you'll see things flip. And so it wouldn't surprise me if maybe we don't get anything. Maybe we even get a denial and brings the price down. And then everything happens. Don't forget, BlackRock's final expiration date is in March. That's the one I'm keeping an eye on, because we all know, said it again this morning on Good Morning Crypto, 99.5% success rate in ETF approval, BlackRock. So, in case you haven't read the writing on the wall, BlackRock gets what BlackRock wants, and they're getting this ETF. The only question is when. And, if they get it tomorrow, fine. I still think at some point we get a pump, goes up, test some certain levels, and then I think we're going to pull back. It just has to happen because of the fact nothing goes straight up, and there's a monster bull run coming. And we know before the bull run, there's always a bull trap. I think this news will set the bull trap, and then you get your pump, and then you're going to get the dump, wipe out those weak hands, and then they're going to send it. So that's kind of how I'm playing, or at least that's what I think is still on the table.
Johnny, one of the things that we've been looking at a lot on Good Morning Crypto was the selling of XRP by Ripple. And that's another big narrative that was circulating on Twitter just the other day. In December of 2023 alone, the net sales of XRP by Ripple was 237 million units. And so I did a little bit of back of the napkin math, and I figured out that that is nearly 3% of total volume. So that's very, very interesting. Just applying the SEC's rates of the 1%, that was 3 times the average. That's how I got the 3%. So it is interesting, and I just wanted to get some comments on this Twitter space as well. What do you think about Ripple's business model of them XRP, and obviously buying it back during certain portions of the year as well? But what's your whole take on that before we move on?
First of all, how many people did you piss off on that one? You must
Too many to count.
I'll bet you must have pissed off a shit ton of XRP army mites in that one. But the reality is, that's what we do here at Good Morning Crypto in Maryland. We tell you the truth. We tell you what we believe. We don't lie. We just tell you like we think. We're not right. We're not always right. Of course we're not.
To be fair, guys, I like how you said it was me. I'm reporting data. It's like, should I not report data?
No. I'm just busted. I mean, of course you should report the data.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I
took a lot of heat. Like, there's a lot of people who are calling me an Ethereum maximalist. I'm like, guys, I don't even have Ethereum. How am I an Ethereum maximalist? It doesn't even make sense. But
I'm your impact fee. Remember, I'm not the Ethereum max.
you have to remember,
Exactly.
Gonzo's the Ethereum max, and abs.
All I know is Dogecoin,
abs,
Johnny,
there
you
is
know
a
me.
reason why there's an old saying that you might have heard of, and it's called "Don't shoot the messenger." There's a reason why, because nobody likes bad news, and so who pays the price first? The messenger. And so you're supposed to be the messenger. You have to know that you have to take a beating. That's just how it works. So you can report it, but you better be ready for the backlash. And we all
now
are.
that we got that over with, and we talked about my backlash, you gonna give me a take here, or are we gonna move on?
Of course, yeah. Well, you can watch Good Morning Crypto. I gave you the take, but I'll give it again for the folks listening tonight. Abs, it's no different. Ripple in buying their coins is no different than any other corporation out there today in the stock market that buys back their shares. They buy their shares back to pump up their price, and then they dump them when the prices go high, when the time's right. So, I'm not going to villainize a company for doing what the rest of the big corporations do. You just have to understand that's what they do. We're just in a different space. Rather than stock, it's crypto. But I'm not going to villainize them for that. It's part of what they're doing to keep their price alive. And also, they saw an opportunity to buy it when it was low in the 20s and 30-cent range, and they bought a shit ton of it. They bought it up, and now it's doubled. You can't blame them for taking some profit. Maybe they want to sell that profit, and they want to put it to invest in staff up more people. So you don't know the reasons why companies do this stuff, but I don't think it's nefarious, and I don't think it's one of those things where they're dumping on the retail. No. I don't think it's that at all. They have too much to lose and too much riding on that technology that they need it to survive, and they need it to get adopted. And what they have to do is prove that it has use cases that solve real world solutions that companies are willing to invest time and effort to design them in. And I'll give you a perfect example. Look at Franklin Templeton Bank. They went and designed in the Stellar network system, and Stellar didn't have a freaking clue. They had a clue. That's what you want happening to Ripple. You want their technology out there, and you want people stumbling across it and saying, holy shit, this thing's so damn good, I'm designing this in. That's what you want. That's what drives adoption, my friend. And when you get adoption, then you get trade volume. When you get trade volumes, daily trade volumes that go up, then you get price appreciation. That's what everybody's waiting for. And the reason why we don't have it is because right now we don't have enough adoption.
Did we lose audio with Johnny, or is that just me?
I think we lost audio with Johnny.
Okay, let's move on, guys, because I don't know if we lost him in just connection or Gonzo. So I'm going to defer to you because we only got a couple minutes left in this space. We got 52 people here. If anybody wants to come up and join the conversation, feel free to do that. We're only going to be on here for another 15 or 20 minutes, which is totally fine if you guys want to talk about something different. But the last thing I did have prepared that I thought would be worth addressing, Gonzo, is what's happening when it comes to the XRP ETF versus a Solana ETF product. Because if we know anything in the United States, the game is not very fair. And I think that so far, to think that the SEC would approve an XRP ETF in the US is such a reach. But I think they could easily do it for Ethereum. They could easily do it for Solana. And I love XRP. I want them to launch an XRP ETF. But if Gary Gensler is chairman of the SEC, I find it very unlikely that happens before something comes with Ethereum or something comes with Solana. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it all just starts with the Bitcoin spot ETF because, like I said, once they approve that, they, the whole Grayscale case was about fighting the SEC on the excuses they had been giving to deny the spot ETF for Bitcoin, right? Because they already have future spot. So in that lawsuit, the SEC lost the ability to use that excuse, right? And so that's why we think we're going to get that spot ETF now for Bitcoin. That's why they've already started filing because they, in October, they approved a future spot of Ethereum. So the great stock is approve the spot Bitcoin. We no longer deny the Ethereum spot ETF. That's all that's going to get approved. Once that gets approved, for them, especially in the XRP that has regulatory clarity, I can see a Solana. And if they try to deny it, then they're just do it again, right? And it sucks because it takes time to go through the course, but I don't see them winning any type of lawsuit because they already lost the Grayscale lawsuit, and who knows if they want to continue to take L's. We got the election that's coming up, so there could be a change of power, so there could be a change of sentiment inside the SEC. So we definitely need, this is an attention. I know Johnny likes to talk about that utility and this and that, but I think it's an attention market. And what you need is a narrative. You need a story, right? Like in 2017, the story was cross-border payments. That's what.
Johnny Crypto, I see that you are back on the floor, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, that sucked for like 20 minutes, and then I realized I was gone. And my internet, I lost internet power here for a second, and I don't know how much you heard of the abs. I don't remember what I was saying anymore. But you know what? I talked enough. I want to kind of see who's out there. We've got a lot of people in the room. Let's have them come up. Anybody want to come and speak? Raise your hand, or raise your hand. Request to speak. We'd love to hear from you. Even if it's just if you got a question, ask us your questions about the stock, whatever you want to talk about. Anything crypto related, Merlin, the weather, I don't care. Come on up, let's talk. And with that said, I think we lost our Mario, are you there? Because I think we lost our host. Gonzo, you out there? Yeah. Can you guys hear me? If you can't, give me a thumbs up. Oh, there he is. I think he's back. Yeah, so we need Mario, if you're out there, Mario, to add abs. Oh, here we go.
I'm back. Here we go, Johnny.
There
I don't know. I'm getting the boot now. They're giving me the boot out of these spaces, dude. I don't know what's going on here, guys. Can you hear me clear? Is my audio?
You're coming in good now.
Okay, so let's try to wrap this thing up, guys. I'm not sure if we got any live chat questions or anything like that, but we've talked a lot, and I don't know if there's anything else we can really say about that news, guys. But here, we got one request. We're going to bring this person up to chat a little bit, so give me 1 second. Here we go. We got Outside the Box joining us.
I love that name. Outside the box thinking, baby.
Outside the Box, thanks for jumping up here. What's on your mind?
I think he's muted, Abs. Are you able to unmute him?
Yo, good morning. Can you hear me?
There
we
he
can hear you.
is. We got you, buddy. What's up? Welcome to the show.
Hey,
How are
thanks. I'm listening from Bangkok, Thailand, and I love your show. I always follow you on Twitter. I want to hear you guys talk about utility because I'm like, I work in blockchain. I'm a trader as well. I trade Forex and commodities, and I trade crypto as well. But I wanted to hear what you think about like utility with using NFTs for real purposes, connected to real world assets. Do you know, like XRP, it seems like really hard to get the NFT space going? Like, which chains do you think are really developing the use of NFTs? Not like just, oh yeah, let's buy expensive JPEGs. But I feel like 2024 is going to be the year of utility for NFTs, and that's why I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say about like NFTs that are useful to do things in the real world.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Thanks for bringing it up. But first, let me flip the script a bit. Since you said you work in blockchain, what do you do in blockchain?
Well, I'm heavily involved with many projects in Songbird and Flare because when I first got involved with crypto, it was back when I was living in New Zealand, and it was during the pandemic, and I just would go to the library every day. And at that time, XRP was just coming out with a credit card, and I wanted to get this. It was back like in 2020, and it was really hard to get it, but I was researching like, okay, how do you find information about what XRP Ledger is and what is it used for? So every day during the pandemic, I was studying in this library in New Zealand, and then that's when I came across Songbird and Flare. And so ever since then, I've just been on Discord, like really investigating like the use of these things, because I'm a mathematician. And my trading, when I really got the edge, was when I started to analyze my performance and more analytical about, okay, let's reflect on this. What have I done right? What have I done wrong? What are my metrics? And so I'm doing the same thing with blockchain. Like, okay, let's forget all the fluff. Like, oh yeah, the pump and dumps, and that's great, but the underlying utility of the protocol is what's most powerful. Like, as you guys have said before, like this is the phenomenon in our generation of blockchain. It's going to be used to probably address all these issues. Like even in the trust is at an all-time low in our society. We're post-Christian, we're post-morality, and so blockchain is that, I think, is positioned to answer that problem of, okay, now it's permissionless. We're going to like have artificial intelligence and these blockchains running things because we can't trust our leaders anymore. So that's why I'm interested. Like, I want to know, like, how is the data contained in these NFTs and the data as well on these protocols? Like we talk about native tokens, okay, on the Songbird chain, it's Songbird, and then you wrap it. And it's like, oh wow, what does that mean? What does wrapping mean? And of course, 10 years from now, we're going to make it a lot easier for the normies, once all this chaos goes through with the reset and this new Web3, financial system that's being created right now, we're going to make it a lot easier for other people to use it. But right now, we're the ones developing it. So we need to know, okay, what are these protocols useful for? When I went over to that first year when I was researching it, I was like, okay, who are the other main competitors? Okay, it's Binance Smart Chain. Okay, what do they do? And really all I saw was like DEXs with these tokens. These utility tokens were just providing incentives on the DEXs. But then what else can we use tokens for? And then that's kind of what I've been doing the last couple years on Songbird and Flare.
Really quick,
yeah.
outside the box. So just to bring it back, what was you said a lot, and there's a lot that I want to address, but then we'd have to be here all night. What was your original question?
Well, my question was, how are they developing NFTs this year, do you think, to be useful? Like to not just be buying JPEGs and, oh, it's a pretty JPEG, or just like you guys always talk about price appreciation. That's fluff. But the price goes up because, like you're saying, mass adoption and scalability comes in. That's not going to come in until these things are addressing real issues.
100%. And I'm not sure. So here's what's interesting about the whole, I agree with 90% of what you're saying, but you keep putting the timeline on this year. I wouldn't emphasize this being the year for NFT adoption. So is there something that I'm missing that draw you to that conclusion?
Oh, no, I'm just, because we're at the beginning of a year and it seems like things are at a lull right now. Like they time things like this ETF approval to be, I think, strategically like, okay, it's the new year, and all the money managers and people are making their new investments for the new year. So that's why I just use that phrase.
Got it. So I think that so there's a couple things you asked. Which chains are dominating for tokenization? Because you can think about NFTs as a representation for something on the blockchain, right? It's just basically like a derivative. It's like if I clone Johnny Crypto and I put him on the XRP, I could buy a virtual Johnny Crypto, and that's validation for me owning him in real life. That's kind of the best way you can think about tokenization. But when you talk about which blockchains are going to dominate, we can't. That is a $1 trillion question for one reason and one reason only. There's a bunch of blockchains that have the scalability. There's a bunch of blockchains that have the technology. And I think those are like XLM, Algorand, HBAR, some of the cheaper tokenization networks. But when I look at like the competitive advantages in the market, it's Ethereum, it's Solana, and it's many of the blockchains that don't have the best technology. And that's kind of the great debate that we're all having today is like, is the best technology going to succeed over the next 5 years? Is the best relationships going to succeed over the next 5 years? And that's kind of where my head's at. But I think that we're still a few years away from companies like JetBlue, companies like Apple, companies like Amazon having NFT projects that offer rewards and offer, tangible real world assets, right? If I could purchase an NFT for my favorite NFL team and that gave me 15% off on all purchases from the team's website, well, there's real value there. And then I can do the calculations and figure out how much these things are worth.
Right.
But we're
And
still very far.
I'm glad you bring up royalties, because I minted my own collection this past year just to fool around with artificial intelligence, and I had the guy develop into the smart contract. I had them do royalties, and that is powerful. Like, I think that's going to be a main use of NFTs, is giving the owner of the NFT the right to share income of secondary sales.
Here's another key detail too, because you talked about finding opportunity in the short term. So I think there is opportunity for NFTs in specific sectors of the market. This is where I give a shout out to Johnny Crypto and NFT Tones. They're the gamer guys. They understand blockchain gaming better than anybody. And that is the simplest concept to understand with an NFT. Anyone who's played Fortnite knows that little kids purchase what are called skins, which are basically uniforms for your players. Right now, those in-game purchases, you can't take them anywhere. They're not valuable. Every single one of those skins will be tokenized by 2027. That's a whole new form of value we haven't even talked about tonight. So there's all types of sectors that are going to thrive. But to say that NFT is going to get mass adoption, I heard the same narrative in 2020. I was here for it. So I'm speculative. I'm not saying it's impossible. Johnny Crypto, what are some of your thoughts?
Look, at the end of the day, tokenization will be probably the largest or one of the largest liquidity drivers for blockchain technology. Everybody and everything is going to be tokenized. Even Abs's underwear is going to be tokenized. You can laugh right now, but someday through VeChain, you'll be able to scan it and be able to know where it was made, where it went, where it's going.
Dude, listen, I have to respond. You can't just breeze over analogies like that. I will never do that. And if it is, it's fake news.
The ladies will do it. The ladies will do it. You won't. But anyway, getting back to seriousness here. When you said something interesting out of the box. You said, when will NFTs not be JPEGs? That's the problem. NFTs are not JPEGs, but they got labeled as JPEGs because in the last bull run, whenever you saw the word NFT, it was associated with a crazy looking monkey or some kind of monkey or lion or ape photo that sold for $1 million. And so that's fortunately the term NFT and JPEG became synonymous, but they're not. The way to think about a JPEG is similar to what Abs is saying. It's just like a stock certificate. It's just a right. It's a digital rights certificate that says I own this or I own that. And the fact that you can tokenize it, meaning you could take something, a building, for example, and break it up into millions of pieces and then sell all these little pieces off to people, and then they own a piece of it, and then they get something for that, whether it's a royalty or income or whatever, right? That day's coming. That day's coming. Is it coming in 2024? No. Will we see the beginnings of something? It's already happening. Companies like Propi, they're starting. There's stocks of diplomas and birth certificates becoming tokenized, and there's entities, companies working on it. So it's going to come. But what you guys have to understand is we're in 1994 of the internet, right? You guys are used to 2024 internet. We're in 1994 internet. That's how you have to think. You don't just, there's not a flip you switch and you go from zero utility to full blown utility. It doesn't work that way. It's just it's like building, one brick on top of another brick, and you build a better system over time. That's what's going to happen here. You're going to start shifting into tokenization, and first they'll start with tokenizing, maybe your birth certificates and maybe your records. The town halls, like the worst place to go to try and get records, right? They'll start tokenizing all that stuff, and then there'll be very smart, clever people on Wall Street will figure out how to tokenize everything so they can make more money and steal more money from the dumb money. And there'll be whole different types of tokenization efforts there. There'll be tokenization everywhere, anything and everything. So,
and you said one example, Probity. Did you say? What are they? The real estate, tokenized real estate?
yeah. So you can look at Pro. That's what they're Proby. So they're one of the companies out there doing that, or at the forefront of just getting started to do that stuff. And there's a ton of other companies.
I heard sports companies too, like football teams.
Yeah. So another thing, like you guys talk about ownership. So Chili's, if you might have heard of Chili's, CHC is the symbol. Chili's is out
Johnny's favorite restaurant.
Yeah, not even close. But anyway, Chili's is another good one for tokenization so as a fan, for example, they're really big in soccer. You can own a chunk of a right of your team. So like Juventus has, then Roma and Manchester United. You actually can go buy a piece of it, and it doesn't not like you buy the company. Depends what the company puts. But I think, like for example, they were giving anybody who owned a Chili's NFT, which is basically a digital right to the company. You had a right to vote on one game, and you could decide like whether the game was going to be played, or you got you got to vote on the players that get to play in the game. You get to almost be like the coach, right? You get a right, and but we're so early in the beginning of that. But all these teams and companies are going to do that. Why? Because it gives them a chance to raise capital. If I sell off something, if I sell you a right to my team, so you get to make a decision, I get to sell you something that you're happy with. You think you got something important. You buy it. You get to vote on this player, gets to play that game. And it was like they get to pick a player in a game that was like what do you call it? Not a regular game. It was like a friendly. So you get to pick the players in one of their friendlies, right? But
right. And let me just remind you too that all of this would be happening in a decentralized way. So before, when you have to raise capital or do anything like official for your business, it's like through all these, like you guys are talking about. But really, if I wanted to buy an NFT that's has some use in some company or project, I can do it decentralized way through, get the token through a decentralized exchange and then buy it myself peer to peer. And I think that's powerful.
Well, I mean, that's going to be one way. But frankly, to be honest with you, I don't think that's going to be the main way corporations are going to do it. I think they're going to find ways to centralize a lot of this stuff so they control. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying tokenization is going to be completely decentralized. I'm just saying it's not going to be. It'll have some centralization too, at least in my opinion, because I don't think companies are going to want to relinquish control of their stuff. So I think it'll be a combination. It'll be a coexisting effort. Some things will be, I think the most part, the people in control don't want too much decentralization, right? You lose too much control. So I think they're going to try to centralize as much as possible. Companies will also centralize as much as possible because they want to have ownership over and control over the things that they're off. So it'll be a mixed bag, in my opinion, but I think it's a big one. And right now, you asked which chain. I mean, right now, Solana is, I think, the first, or if not the second largest NFT market space. So they're already prepped and in place to be able to take a big chunk of that. And whether you love them or hate Solana, they got some big players behind them because it just won't die. It just won't die. It's going somewhere. Solana is here to stay, whether you like them or not. And so I think you're going to see, if you had to make a bet, and you ask me 20 years from now, bet some today you think is going to be here 20 years from now, I think Solana is going to be one of them.
I agree with you, Johnny. I don't think that's a contrary take whatsoever, but here's something I do think is contrary. Putting Bitcoin and XRP in the same category, which is what you did earlier, my friend. So
you know what? I wasn't going to address that, but since you just continue to harp and beat on it, the reason why I put them in a similar, not same, but similar category is strictly from a perspective of, XRP did a big, what was it, 1,000x or 1,300x in the last bull run? And at the time, in context of what we were talking about large gains, 1,000x's. That ain't going to happen with XRP either. Nobody's going to like that. You're just probably going to hate for it, whatever. I mean, will it 10x or 20x? Probably. But are we going to see, hundreds of X's in it? I'm not so sure. I'm not in that camp that we're going to get that high. So that's why I didn't have it in that conversation where I was talking about gaming tokens, where, yes, I think gaming tokens, you're going to see a shit ton of them that are going to absolutely have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 X's. And if my man Gonzo is still here, and I don't know if he is, poor guy can't talk, he'll tell you what he's seen in gaming. Gaming has so much potential.
Agreed, Johnny Crypto.
Well,
And I want to give a shout out to Mario as well. Mario, I'd love to hear some thoughts if you're still there, and then we'll close this thing out. But outside of yours.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I forget what I was going to say, but thanks for all your comments on Solana. Like Flare and Songbird are creating a connection through their state connector, try to wrap on all the chains. So they're even wrapped XRP is going to be coming on, and then the side chain for smart contracts on XRP. So there are other ways to use smart contracts for these other chains, like in gaming and stuff. You bring up gaming, so I just like the XRP just has that side chain now, hooks, for the Zahao. So anyway, people can research that on their own time. I know that we don't have time right now, but those are the things I'm researching.
Very cool. And Johnny Crypto, we only got about 5 minutes left, so give me a couple to close this thing out.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I just want to say I think that we're at very times. We are, as Cypress said earlier, we are at the forefront, if you will, front running the banks in most big smart in this space. So kudos to everybody here who's ahead of the game, ahead of the curve. Back in the 1990s, Abs, when you were in diapers, there were a lot of internet millionaires made, and I think this time around there's going to be a lot of crypto millionaires made. So super excited. But listen, if you don't have an exit plan, I hate to beat the drum on this, and I hate to be the one, but someday you'll thank me. Right now, you're like, he's pushed the stupid app again. No, listen, you don't need to buy the app. You don't even use the app if you don't want to. Get a piece of paper and create your own exit strategy. But if you decide you want something a little more sophisticated that does all the work for you, so you can just sit back, relax, hang out in a boat with us, and not have to worry about looking at your phone 20 times a day, well, then Merlin is for you. You can just create your exit plan. Be ahead of the curve. Don't I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm going to wait till the bull run comes here." Oh, really? You're going to wait till the bull run to set up your exit strategy? I hate to say that, but you've already lost the game if that's how you're thinking.
Spot on, Johnny. And just because we got a couple of minutes left, guys, it's 10:30 at night. I want to talk to Johnny about football a little bit. So let's talk football for like 2 seconds here, Johnny.
Oh,
First
baby, let's go. Let's go.
First of all, you're the only guy who can say their team's in the playoffs. I'm going to preface my thoughts with this, but one of the things that's exciting is, do you think Bill Belichick's gone? I'm a New England fan, 25-year New England Patriots fan. It would be my first time ever seeing a different coach for the New England Patriots. So Johnny's a huge NFL guy, huge fantasy football guy. Give me your thoughts before we close it out tonight.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm a Patriot fan. I don't understand the Patriots because
you're a Steelers fan.
Because we couldn't beat them. So that's why I don't like them, but they were a great team. But Pittsburgh just couldn't. We never had a good enough coach to figure out how to outsmart Belichick. Belichick's probably the best coach in the game. A lot of people second guess it now because he can't win without Brady. But what people don't realize is in football, it takes time to build a winning team. And, the guy built a winning team and did it for 20 years. And he did it times without Brady at the helm when he was injured. And he took guys like Matt Castle and won 12 games with him, okay? So at the end of the day, the guy's just a great coach. I would take him in a heartbeat. You can have Tomlin. I'd take him in a heartbeat, Abs. But the thing that I got to say about this is if Kraft lets him go and he still goes and coaches elsewhere, then Kraft needs to be checked into a doctor and have his freaking head examined, because it makes zero sense why you have the best coach in the world and you would let him go. I just don't understand logic, unless if Bill says to him, you know what, I'm tired. I'm done here. I want to be in the warm weather. I don't want to be in the cold. If Bill walks away, it's one thing. But if we find out later that he leaves because Kraft pushed him out, then he needs his head examined, bro. That's all I can say.
Last thing, Johnny, and I heard a great quote. It said, "Name me a king who's ever willingly relinquished his power." And it's like, that's
exactly.
Bill Belichick right now. The reason he's going to leave is because if he stays, they're not going to let him draft players anymore. And I think that's a huge deal for Belichick, especially when you talk about somebody who's the greatest of all time at what they do. There's an ego involved in that, and it's bigger than the average person. So I think that's just all I got to say, Johnny. Any closing thoughts before I end it here?
Yeah, well, I would just say if the king wants to stay, let the king stay. Let the king draft players. If he wants to draft players, because he drafted Brady in the 6th round. So let the king do what he's got to do. But make sure you do what you got to do. Click on the above or below this thing and sign up for Merlin. Get your free 30-day trial, Abs. Everybody gets to try it out for free. And if you don't like it, hey, no harm, ain't going to cost you anything. We made it easy to cancel in the app. And we're trying to give you guys a tool to help you win in this space. So I hope it does that. And we have heard lots of good feedback, Abs. People loving it, telling us they love when they get alerts. They love that it's so easy to set up. They love that it connects us to most of their exchanges. If not, they can manually add any coin they want or exchange. So we're excited what we built, and I hope everybody gets to try it and let us know what you think.
John Crypto, we got 3 minutes here because we got to end this at 10:30. So let's just chat up for another 2 minutes. First of all, we got 35 people here. Thanks for being here, guys. These are our diehards, Johnny. So you know what's cool? I don't think we've announced this on the Merlin Spaces, is that Bearable Bull is an official partner of Merlin. Maybe you can speak to that and some of the other people that we've added over the last couple of months.
Yeah, we're super excited. Bearable Bull saw the app. He started using it and loved it. He's like, God, I want to be a partner. And so now he is, and he's talking about it on his show. And actually today he did a really cool video. He actually built his exit plan in Merlin, and he shared it. So he actually showed people what he's doing with his XRP, and you can actually see his XRP price targets. So really, really cool. And then we got Kevin Cage, who saw it, loved it. He's using it like crazy and doing videos on it. Coach obviously loves it, uses it all the time. We've got Jenna, and we've got Darcy Donovan using it, and a few other that I was thinking to Tony Edwards, thinking crypto. So these guys are playing with it, using it. We have a bunch of others that we're talking
Echo.
to. Echo. Oh, Echo's coming on board. We're waiting for him just to finally start it up. So we're so excited because these guys are using it, and they've used other apps, and they've told me, like, holy cow, you got things that these other ones don't. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because we did the research. I spent many, many years in this consumer space, understanding consumers, what they need. And I saw, an unmet need in a lot of these different apps, and we filled those needs. And that's why Merlin will be the #1 crypto tracker in the world. Get your hands on it now before the prices go up. You can get in cheap. We tried to make it extremely affordable. It costs money to run apps, and we don't do like other companies. We don't steal your data. We don't use your data. We don't want your data. And that's why, these other companies, they'll give you something for free, but they're sucking up our data. And they're sharing it to everybody in the world. We don't do that, Abs. We keep everything extremely secure and private, so that your stuff, coins, your keys is yours. We don't sell your information. We don't even use your information, to be honest with you. We don't even do that. We basically, the only time, we basically keep it as secure as possible. And if we have to troubleshoot something, if there's a problem, that's the only time we'll have to go in. Otherwise, for the most part, we made the best app in the world for that reason. And so we're happy that it's out there. We're happy that people are using it. We're getting great, tremendous feedback. So we know we're doing something right. And Abs, we broke a threshold. I don't know if I told you, 2,000 users trying out this system right now. Yeah, baby. We've only been in business 4 months. And we have 2,000 people on the platform trying it out. So
awesome.
Yeah. So we're excited.
It's awesome, but I'm not surprised. And Johnny, there's one quote that you said, and it was, Waters Above was on the show, and it really stuck with me. You said, Putin had an exit plan, so should you. So you made a great point. I think everybody should have an exit plan and be prepared, guys. And it is 10:30, so I want to wish everybody a great night. Tomorrow on Good Morning Crypto, Cypress X will be joining the show, so that's going to be a really exciting episode. I want to give you a chance. Any closing statements, and we'll end this thing.
Like you said, Putin had an exit plan. You better. You better. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys for hanging out tonight with us. We do these every other week, so we'd love to have you on board. Love to have more people come and speak. But thank you everybody for being here tonight. And get ready, guys. It's going to be an exciting week with the Bitcoin ETFs. Will they come tomorrow? Will they come next week? Will they come next month? I don't know, Abs, but it's going to be exciting.
Remember this, guys. The CNBC announcement today is that if a spot Bitcoin ETF product's approved, the next narrative on the horizon is Ripple and Ethereum. So with that being said, we're going to end this thing. Thank you so much, guys, for everybody who was here. And I'm wishing you all an amazing night and an amazing week. Happy 2024.
Warriors, rise. Let's go.
Thank you for tuning in to the Merlin Crypto Market Update located on the X app. I'm Abs, your host and Senior Engagement Officer at Merlin, and we hope you enjoyed this episode from our Merlin X Spaces. Remember, you can catch us live every other Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the X app at Get Merlin Crypto. If you want to take your crypto tracking to the next level, don't miss out on our free 30-day trial at merlincrypto.com. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.